Good afternoon. My name is Rod, and this is Thor. I am the owner of I Have the Power Fitness and Nutrition, and today I'm going to be discussing three phenomenal compound exercises: the single arm linear jammers, landmine 180s, and kettlebell lunge pass-throughs. Now, when you go to your traditional gym, you look around, and the majority of the clients are going to be men in their 20s and 30s. Now, it doesn't mean that there aren't people younger, it doesn't mean there aren't people of an older, or there aren't women there, but you look around and be like, wow, mostly guys. Now, a lot of guys, they do know what they're doing. They're around that intermediate level of knowledge. But even though they may know how to do bench press and a deadlift and how to breathe properly, they're still lacking that little bit of, like, say, oomph, if you will, that advanced knowledge to get them to the next level. And to say that's where I would come in. Now, the first exercise, the single arm linear jammers. They're a phenomenal deltoid exercise of intermediate level. The secondary muscles that they hit are the pectoris major and minor, triceps, and the abdominals. They're also an explosive compound exercise that is a push pressing movement. They can be trained in traditional muscle and strength, focused on rep ranges for lower reps with a focus on explosive pressing power for higher reps. And it may be more shoulder friendly than, say, explosive bench pressing or overhead presses. And it's also an intense stabilization challenge to the core, as you will see. Also, with potential imbalances though, you need to make sure that you're maintaining control. You need to make sure that you can control the bar at all times. And now with this, it's going to train the eccentric muscles for strength in the shoulder muscles. And then with each phase, as you're going to see, the preparatory phase is, and I'm going to have Thor, he's going to bring the bar up. He's going to get his feet facing forward, get them into a firm base, make sure he is anatomically neutral going forward. And right now, this is the preparatory, but it's also isometric because he's holding a weight, but there's no change. And now he's going to come up slowly, again, just for demonstration purposes for the moment. Now he has completed the preparatory stage, and again, isometric because there's no change, but force is being applied. Now for the next step, for the central phase, he's going to go from one arm to the next, maintaining control at all times. Now, he's going to go down. You're going to see, again, this is going to be isometric here because he is holding it. And he still has his weight evenly going throughout his body, and he's going to drive back up. And when he's driving back up, that's going to be concentric again until it's, boom, straight forward. So when he's holding it up here, and when he's down at the bottom, those are going to be the isometric phases for however long holding him for. When he's coming back up, that's going to be the concentric phase, and when he is catching the bar and it's coming back down, that is going to be the eccentric phase. And again, when he's getting up like this is the preparatory. While he's going through the motion, that is going to be the central phase. And when he catches it, and on the final rep, that's going to, of course, be the terminal phase. You just want to make sure that you're not putting too heavy of a weight because you want to make sure if you have limited range of motion or if you have back issues. Now, with the palpate, you're getting the entire deltoid complex. So right at that shoulder joint. And then with the NPI 5 points, making sure that maintain balance. The feet are forward, maintaining control and focus, catching and releasing smoothly, not going too fast. But you want to make sure you obtain a full flexion and extension with the shoulder and elbow joints to maintain balance. Now, when I say too fast, you just want to make sure you're going at a speed where you're maintaining control, because obviously right now this is a lightweight, this is only 55 pounds, but if you get to a weight like, say, 75, 85, you do want to get that power, but you don't want to lose control. Now I'm going to have him demonstrate 10 repetitions for each arm. Let's start here. Then you want to toss it into the air and actually catch it. There you go. And then drive through. Oops. Actually, just toss it in the air. You don't want to do a jerk because you don't want to hurt your elbows. There you go. Then come back down, drive through, and then just stop at 10. So as you can see, maintaining nice control throughout, and were you feeling it in your deltoids the entire time?
Yeah.
So that's the whole point, is you want to make sure you're feeling it in delts, and just make sure you stay safe. Now, 2 additional exercises that I would handle for a person after they have mastered this one would be the 2-handed landmine exercise, shoulder press, and the 1-arm bent over rows. Now, moving on to the landmine 180s, these are an intense exercise that target the deep muscles of the core, the obliques, and the transverse abdominis, so all around here. It's going to maximize force transfer through the legs, the core, and the arms, and it provides a powerful rotational core training. It also trains for coordination and power simultaneously. It develops strength throughout the entire core, improves twisting motion. So if you're somebody who rows, plays golf, plays baseball, any exercise that requires a lot of twisting, hockey, this is a great exercise. Now, the primary muscles are the ceteris anterior, the external obliques, the rectus abdominis, and the internal obliques. The secondary is, again, now the deltoid complex, the erector spinae, the gluteus maximus and medialis, the latissimus dorsi, and the thoracolumbar fascia. Sorry. Now, for this exercise, it's going to be very similar to the single arm linear jammers, where the client's going to pick the bar safely, of course, lift with your legs and not with your back, that old mantra. And now, with this exercise, unlike the single arm, is you're not tossing it, you're maintaining a firm grip throughout, and it is vital that you keep your arms extended at all times. And you're going to go through a full range of motion. You're mimicking that motion that I made a moment ago. Now, with this exercise, the preparatory phase is identical to the single arm linear jammers, where you're getting the bar up, you're getting it up safely. Now, again, concentric is, of course, difference with this one is because you're going to be going in one fluidic motion, is the preparatory phase starts up here. Now he's going to go down to one side. Now he's ready to do the twisting motion. And you can see how he is holding the bar. Now when the bar is down there, that's going to be the isometric because he's holding it, no change in tension. And with this exercise, you need to keep your arms fully extended, firm grasp of the bar at all times. You need to go through the full range of motion. You don't want to go too heavy or fast. You want to maintain control through the entire range of motion. I cannot emphasize that enough. But you do want to avoid this. You have shoulder or back issues due to twisting and turning. Even with forearms, because if you can't control it, you don't want to have anything happen to anyone, of course. And then for the palpitate, it's going to be in the rectus abdominis right down here and in the core on the sides, where basically you would pretend if you're wearing imaginary pants and going into your pockets. And with the NPI, with the national points, as far as grading is concerned, to make sure that you're ready to move on and you're ready to do it, and get to that point of it's a grading system out of 100 with those 5 points. It's basically identical to single arm linear jammers, where you want to make sure you're maintaining control, maintaining balance, and not losing control. Now, with this one, he's not going to make a twisting motion while, again, keeping his arms fully extended throughout the entire exercise. So he's going through the twisting motion. Now, when he is coming up, that is going to be the concentric phase. And when he is going back down towards the ground, that's going to be the eccentric phase, because of the muscles lengthening and shortening for the eccentric and concentric phases. So you're fighting gravity, because obviously gravity wants to bring the bar down, so that's going to be the eccentric phase, because that's when your muscle is lengthening, because you're trying to actually control it. Now, the central phase is, of course, why he's making the twisting motion, going back and forth, going the full range, so you can see it's a full twist. His arms have stayed straight the entire time, and then he's going to twist back And then when he comes back down, that's the terminal phase of the repetition. So central phase is you're coming back up. Central phase is you're making the motion. And the terminal phase is when you're coming back down and you're at that happy point, if you will. And again, keep the arms fully extended, firm grip, and I'm going to have him now do 10 repetitions for each side, of course. Now, while he's doing this, he is maintaining a firm control. His feet are staying balanced. They are not coming off the ground at all. And he's getting that entire twist in. He's going through the full range of motion, as if you were rowing a boat, if you will. You're bending your elbows a little bit. Sorry. So you want to keep those arms fully extended. So you want to get to that comfortable distance to where it is your arms can stay extended and get that full twist in. So you want to make sure you're like almost coming to the ground without actually coming to the ground. And then circle back to the ground. Now for the last exercise, the kettlebell lunge pass-throughs. This is an intermediate level as well exercise that targets mostly and mainly the hamstrings. It also focuses the core to stabilize while the limbs are moving. It also trains strength in various parts of the leg one side at a time. So again, to address those previous imbalances that we just all naturally have. And it's also a cardiovascular challenge. It's a great calorie burner. It's an excellent full body routine. And it's a coordination exercise because you have to maintain balance while you're transferring the kettlebell underneath your leg, which you'll see in a moment. And it's virtually identical to the lunge. So if you know how to do the lunge, that's why I'm saying intermediate level, because the lunge is where a beginner exercise. The only difference is that you're passing a kettlebell underneath your leg while you're in that lunge, traditional lunge pose. And the difference with this exercise versus the traditional lunge is that when you're doing a traditional lunge, as soon as you bend forward, you're going to feel everything in your quadriceps. But then when you make that motion of passing the kettlebell underneath your leg, now you're transferring the emphasis to your hamstrings because now you're reaching underneath. Now, the primary exercise of this, the primary muscle groups are the hamstrings and the glutes. So you're getting a 2-for-1 special in that sense. But then it also works, again, the abdominals, the shoulders, the upper back, the lower back. Your forearms even have to play a role because you're passing it through, you're holding it. And, as I mentioned, coordination, balance, the whole 9 yards. Now, when you're doing this exercise, again, you're doing a traditional lunge for the kettlebell. And just get this out of the way. I'll just move it over here. Now, as I mentioned, with this exercise, so get into a traditional lunge pose and step forward. Now pass the kettlebell underneath, and that is 1 repetition. So the preparatory phase, of course, is you're getting in your traditional lunge pose where the feet are facing forward, you're anatomically facing forward, you're in a neutral position, and then the central phase, of course, is going to be when you are lunging forward, and the terminal phase is when you're passing it through, and that's the terminal phase. Now, the concentric phase is when you're lunging forward. The eccentric phase is when you're coming back up, and the isometric is when you're passing it through, because you're still having that change, but there's no change in the tension or in the length. Now, with this exercise, the palpitation is going to be, if you want to turn around for one moment, Thor, it's going to be the hamstrings. That's where you want to make sure that you are feeling it. Because as I mentioned, when you do the lunge, you're feeling it here, but as soon as you pass it through, you definitely feel that emphasis change from the front of your leg, the anterior portion, to the posterior portion. Now, mishaps that can happen is if you're going too fast and you mishandle the transfer, you could end up dropping that kettlebell. If you go too fast, you could end up having to fall over. You don't want to overextend when you make that pose. You want to make sure you're going to a good stretch, stop the knee at the feet, and then come down just short with that back leg hitting the ground, where the control is on the heel of your front foot, the balance is on the back toes. And so you're going to maintain balance and coordination getting through the entire stretch. And you want to make sure you're maintaining a fluidic and solid tempo. You want a seamless transfer. So you don't want to do like a stop and go. So when you're doing it, transfer, back, and just keep going. That's where the calorie burn comes into play. So one thing I always recommend with single arm, single-sided exercises is always start with the weaker side first. And if you do 5 reps for that side, then stop at 5 reps for the stronger side, because you do not want to extend that discrepancy between the two sides. So now I'm going to have Thor practice, do 10 reps for each leg. So as you can see, he is facing forward. He's lunging forward, but then he does the transfer. And as you can see, he's going in one nice fluidic motion. He's not doing any stopping and going. He's maintaining balance and control throughout. So again, with all 3 of these exercises, they are compound exercises that are working more than just one part of the body, because as we all know, our body does not work in isolation. Our body is a machine with many moving parts. And as it also get to kill many birds with one stone, so to speak. Now, once somebody has mastered this one, I would also have them move on to kettlebell reverse lunges, and then I would also have them do kettlebell Cossack lunges. So again, with all 3 of these exercises, you are getting your money's worth with building strength, coordination, flexibility, the whole 9 yards. But at the end of the day, like there is with the 10 Commandments, the Bill of Rights, there's that first rule. When it comes to this stuff, it's the principle of individuality. These exercises are challenging. The exercises can be demanding. So they're not necessarily for everybody. So that's where the trial and error comes in. You want them tailored to the individual for safety, for success, for them to reach their goals, whatever they may be. You want to be able to push your clients. You want to be able to be creative, trial and error. The point is to make it fun for everybody involved. You're not there just to make a buck. You're there to change the world, and you do that one person at a time. Thank you.